Nice. Welcome back to Bone with Friends, and I thank you in advance for tuning in. Tonight I have Kenny Kendricks, and we live.
Drop it in
Ken,
the
how
scene,
you
snap
doing?
a pick and spit a bar flurry. The spinning racks need refill, but I'm really not worried.
Okay.
It's the most beautiful thing in the words of Keith Murray. Dipping out in a low-low and slow-mo tipping. Just one tap and it hops up like pogo sticking. This is not a put-together, like robo-chicken.
Wow.
Still original condition, number match, no parts missing.
Right.
Willowbrook and Alondra pull over right there. At the Made in Compton Store, I can get something to wear. For men, women, and children, all prices fair.
Thank you.
Got fresh top to bottom. And I slid up out of there, hopped right back in the low-low looking like new money.
Sure do.
Stare all you want, but can't take none from me. Ain't none bouts this cute, sweet, nor funny.
Nope.
Outside in a low ride, rain, sleet, or sunny.
Cool.
The back window's still empty, ain't earned a plaque yet. Not a renegade rider. Hub City to set. Until next time, one thing you can bet. I'll be on my grind double time, pushing a line extra shine drips wet. And you ain't seen none yet.
That was incredible. Much respect.
All right. Yes, sir. So you were asking, how am I? I'm well. Today is Sunday. It's Father's Day. Sunday for my wife and I is always really a good time. We are leaders in our church, and I'm what is it? I do all the setup. And so we arrive at the church at 6:30, and we set everything up before our pastor gets to the location at 7:30. So we have our praise and worship music going, and we're setting up all the signage and everything of that sort. And it's just a good time, you know. We're setting up the congregation. We're setting up for the congregation so that when they come, they're ready to just get in and get into the praise and worship and hear the word. So Sundays are always good. You know, it's a great way to start our week. My wife and I, we do it collectively. She's gotten a lot better. Usually she's not as timely as myself. And this morning we were at odds, and she said, "Go, just leave. You go early." And so we used separate cars today, which was the first in a number of years. But yeah, so Sunday was a good day. It's a good day, as our boy would say in his song. Today is a good day.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody in advance for tuning in to Bone with Friends. And tonight my special guest is Kenny Kendricks. Hey, Ken, tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Wow, you know, first of all, I am God's workmanship. And so he's put a lot of unique things inside of me, which have come to bear over the last 60 years of my life. And so I'm grateful for that. I am an educator. I've been in education for the last 30 years of my life, although I have a degree in business. And I used to sell ladies' shoes like one of my famous actors, Ed O'Neill from Married with Children. So I used to put shoes on ladies' feet, and then just made a transition and got into education. And like I said, been there for a number of years, brother. Yeah. I'm also a musician,
Man,
a poet, a jack of all trades, and hopefully a master of some. Yes, sir.
yeah, so you get back to the thing.
Yeah. So in our pausing, you know, I can continue on. Yes. So I've just been doing teaching for many years. And one of the questions that you brought before me was, what inspired me to be a teacher? And I got to tell you, you know, as I've looked back over my life and tried to figure out why am I in this field, as I said, I have a degree in business. I was working for Macy's back in the day. and they finished their managerial program, top of the class, and they were bringing in their people from Atlanta, and I was like, I'm going to get stifled. And my mom, who worked in Compton, let me also share that. I'm born and raised in Compton, the CPT. Been here all of my life. That's where I ran into Ron Bone. And so my mom was working in Compton, and she said, hey, why don't you come over here and come in as a substitute? And I was like, I'm game. I was 28, I think, at the time. And I came over, and ironically, the school that I started in was called Robert F. Kennedy. And lo and behold, I live in my home in Compton, right across the street from the school that I started my educational journey in. Talking about, how God just puts things together. And got in there and didn't know anything. Walked in, they gave me a fourth grade classroom, all Spanish speakers. Pero yo hablo español, y it was an oportunidad a usar mis habilidades. And so I went in there and just started doing some things. And lo and behold, the children, they took a liking to me. The administration they were like, wow, this seems very natural to you. And that's when I said earlier that I am his workmanship. In the book of Jeremiah, he says that he's formed us in the belly before we were born. And so each one of us has unique talents and giftings that are already equipped in us, that we can do specific things for specific reasons. And there I was in the classroom doing these things and not knowing until some time had passed that, wow, I can do this. And it's fun. It's joyful. And got in there, and next year they gave me a different class. I started with fourth grade to kindergarten to first grade. And now I'm in middle school over in the city of Paramount, working with special education children, severe and emotional needs, which has really been a unique opportunity. I never knew that I would have that gifting. But let me give a backstory. I have a cousin who's recently passed. He was special needs, and he lived in Louisiana. His name was Derek. And I remember as a youth, we went to go and visit, didn't know that he was special needs. And I remember when we saw him, or I saw him, I saw the retardation, but it didn't bother me. I was like, he's my cousin. And I embraced him as such, not knowing that God was giving me an opportunity to see that as a kid. And then 30 years later, placing me in, proximity and in the classrooms with that population, and me not having any kind of qualms or hesitations or reservations to help them, to teach them. And so it's just been a dynamic journey in this field. And that's when I realized that I like to teach, man. I like to educate. And it's not just my students, my pupils, anyone who I come in contact with. I'm all about sharing and wanting to help people to grow. I wrote The Courage of One Encourages Many. And so when we are courageous in the things that we're doing, or the willingness to share those things, we don't know how we impregnate someone else around us, and something is birthed in them that they want to go and do something unique, as you are with your podcast, and reaching those individuals who are in your sphere of influence. And then they too might, take the baton and run their portion of the race. And so it's pretty cool, and I think that in that, how it has affected my outlook on my life, or on life in general, is that having been in the industry for so many years, I've come across students who I taught in kinder and first grade who are now graduating or who have graduated and who have come back to me to share, Mr. Marshall, wow, what you were telling me has come to pass. It's true. It's real. Or thank you for believing in me. Thank you for this, that, or the other. And so what I found is that our words, they matter. You're a dad, and those things that you share with your son, you may not see manifest in 2026, but in 2036, you may see him executing and doing things in a certain way where you're like, that's my boy. And that is what we see when we're trying to steer. A horse has reins and you can't yank on them, but you pull to the right and the horse's head will guide to the right and guide to the left, and you pull both, he'll break. And so what I found is, in my discourse with my students or those people who I'm chatting with, I'm just gently, pulling the rein left or right to allow the individual to do what they want with what I'm giving them. It says you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And so in like manner, I can put information in front of a student and he or she can say, I don't want to work. It's fine. I'll try again the next day and the next day. And then hopefully it'll take, but, we don't force it, and,
And you started out at Robert F. Kennedy. That's the school I went to as a kid.
Right here. I was on the top floor, right by the ramp. Small world again. I'm telling you,
Man.
It is, right here, man. That's where I started. And I'm like, and then I moved, and all of a sudden I'm right around the corner. Then I went to Caldwell. I taught at Caldwell. I was the project facilitator there, and that's the elementary school that I went to. And yet, so he was bringing me full circle, in my life. Now, I didn't go to middle school or high school here. My parents put us in private school. So my brothers and I, we went to Bishop Montgomery over in Torrance, and then we went to St. Anthony's and middle school. And so we got parochial school for the latter part of our educational process. And then I went to a small private college, didn't excel there, came out, enrolled in Dominguez Hills, and then did a hiatus overseas and studied in London for 6 months. And, that set a new foundation for me. And yeah, man, I won't say I'm a world traveler, but I've traveled. I think I travel a lot in my own brain. Yeah. And so,
how has teaching changed your outlook on life?
It's been an incredible journey. It's become more patient, particularly with my special needs children. Bro, there is no pushing, and they are their own being. Some of them will just sit down and drop to the ground. Some of them have temper tantrums. And so what it's showing me is that, I have to pause. I have to be patient and be cool. Man, a raised voice doesn't do anything, and so the Lord has shown me that as he's worked in my life, that I have to be equally as patient and be, our pastor teaches us to pivot, always on a pivot where you come in and you have this notion of what you want to do. And these kids are not giving you that. And so you have to pivot and be ready to go to the next thing. I have several young people that work with me, my team. There's 6 individuals, and so we all have to be on the same page. And so I call them Team 10. And so education has taught me how to work more jointly with my team. They're young. They're all in their 20s. I'm 60 years old, so I can come off like dad or granddad, but I'm like, I still want to be in lockstep with them. And so patient, learning how to speak to the moment, being thankful for all of their efforts, and being reflective. Finishing the day, looking back, we always conclude the day with, how did we do? What were the pros? What were the cons? What were the pluses? What were the negatives? And so I found that I'm open to dialogue, and I don't have all the answers, and I'm willing to learn. It doesn't, just because I'm the elder statement, doesn't mean I know everything. And so I'm flexible with how things come back to me and how I pursue things. Yeah, I hope that answers that.
Oh, absolutely. In totality.
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Step into the store, feel the vibe so pure. Young Christian, eternal faith, love's the only cure. Wear your hope on your sleeve, let your spirit glow. Support the youth, let their dreams grow. Young Christian, eternal faith.
That was nice, man.
So, Kenny Ken,
Yes.
when did you first discover your love for drumming?
Wow. The skins. As a kid, on Channel 2 during Christmas time, the Little Drummer Boy would come on, and there was one line in there, and he says, I played my drum for him. I played my best for him. And oftentimes when I see it, I cry, because when I play, it's kind of like where my heart is. I went through a divorce, and I was 38 after going through the divorce proceedings. And I was sitting on the stoop with my head down, just kind of thinking about where everything was at the time. And some cat who I did not know walks by. He has a small gym bag. He goes, man, here, And I was like, and he said, well, why don't you play with me? I was like, huh? So I took the drum. Mind you, at the time I had this ring on my finger, and this drum had the skin, and it was wooden, and I didn't really know how to hit it, but I could make my own sound. And so I would tap and I would strike the side with my ring. And it was, it had its own little appeal. And, then I started kind of making up my own lyrics and so forth, and, kind of getting into it. And then on my 40th birthday, I went out and bought my own. And so I would probably say it was in my 40th year that, still going through this divorce and all of that, get this drum. And then I said, you know what? I was living in Long Beach, off of Hermosa, 3rd Street. So it's a lot of movement, a lot of, and the coffee houses were big. And I was like, you know what, man, I want to go to these coffee houses. And so I formed a band, and we were called Dare to Fly. It was myself. I had a bassist and a guitarist, and we did a few little rounds. But it was at that 40th year that the drumming kind of, it really became fun, and had a little entourage of people kind of followed us a little bit. And it was cool, And the funny part was I was into the thoughts you think become the activity you do. So what are you thinking about? And on my walls in my apartment, there were all of these little mantras. And so all of a sudden I'm seeing it every day, and I began to walk in it, and these things began to manifest. And so again, it goes back to the power of words and the things that we think. So drumming started hit me at 40. I've been doing it over the last 20 years. I take my drums to the class. I play for students. Students come in, they tap, and I find that every student has their own voice. And it's a pretty good, icebreaker, particularly when I go into a new classroom and the kids are like, what's that? It gives me conversation. It gives me a voice. So, yeah.
What lessons has drumming taught you outside of music?
Wow, what lessons has that I have a word. Rather, Christ gives me a word for every moment. For example, I have my drums are always in my car, and I can go and grab it. But as I'm just walking around, walking in my giftings, as I met you, it's just what's up, and then he gives me something to say. And so I feel that one, it's important that you practice. I do practice to sharpen your skill. So you just can't go in there willy-nilly. So to be disciplined, practice, to seek improvement, so other sources. So when I'm working in my craft of teaching, that I'm on different platforms and seeing how I can better my skill set with my students. So, and it's taught me to investigate. So in seeking out different, rhythms and beats and so forth in like manner, investigating my craft of teaching, to delve into something, to risk failure, if that makes sense. That every time I play something doesn't mean it's going to overwhelm the audience. Some people might be sitting back like, bro, you need to practice some more. And in the same, and in like fashion, if I'm teaching a lesson and it's not hitting, the kids are just not engaged. And it's like, oh, I got to go back to the lab and try to figure this out. So to be disciplined, to work at your craft, to always want to be improving. And so I think that outside of music that, lessons like that are important, Yeah.
Hey, so how did spoken word become part of your journey?
I never really thought about that until my baby brother, he would hear some beats and he would just start going off the top of his dome, And I was like, okay, what's that all about, And I remembered, again, I said earlier, I'm his workmanship. And so being already equipped, right? And so as a youth, 10 years old, my grandfather was a renowned pastor in Los Angeles in Watts, Union Missionary Baptist Church, Milton Marshall Sr. My dad, also a pastor over 40 years. So there was one, he had an anniversary, my grandfather, and they asked me to speak, and I did a poem. And that was the start of it. And so what would happen was we would go to these visiting churches and they would ask for a response from a visitor. Mind you, I'm like 11 years of age. And oftentimes these responses were given by adults. And I would be in the back of the car and we'd be traveling to some church and I would be rehearsing what I was going to say. I wasn't afraid to go up and talk to the audience, you know? And I'm thinking back to that, like, why would I be wired like that? But again, for such a time as this. And so I would get up and I would say what I had heard somebody else say, and then I would add on to it. So I'm just thinking, like, in my head, it's already read that I can say what I say, and it's already been said. It goes a little fast and it goes a little slow, but I realize this is just how I flow. Given it from the heavens above, I sometimes speak hatred. Nah, I always speak love because it comes from the heart. It comes from the soul. And when I speak it to other people, I know it makes them whole. So I started doing stuff like that and just putting it to the music and slowing it down and looking at a situation and being able to speak through it in song. You know, I can see kids who are down or whatever and just kind of make stuff up. Anyway, so yeah, that's the gifting and understanding it and, you know, just going with that. Yeah.
What message do you try to leave with your audience through your poetry?
Man, I like to encourage. I like them to know that you have to have belief, you have to have faith. You know, my journey is just my faith, you know. In Spanish it says su fe, F-E-Y, your faith, brother, and it's real. You know, there are several instances I know where you and we can talk about how you know, we can no longer be here, but we are. And yeah. So I just want people to know, brother, that nothing is impossible, that if you dream, dreams come true. And it's important not to give up, man. You know, if you don't give in, you don't give up. You know.
Yeah. Man, that's a good one. I ain't heard it put like that.
Yeah, that's what he gives me right there. Yep. Just those little quips. So I'm trying to work on that. I know this is a question that's coming up later, but one of my creative outlets is my writing. And there's a book in me for youngsters that I'm messing around with. And you have AI, and I kind of threw some of my thoughts to AI and it generated you know, some pictures and things of that sort. I like that, but it's not by my hand. And I just came across some information on a reel where a college professor, he gave all the kids a passing mark, 10 out of 10. But he noticed that all of them had AI generated material. And then afterward, he lambasted them by saying, you're going to get this 10 out of 10, but do know that you're giving up your creativity. You're giving up your voice. And so I'm kind of hemorrhaging between utilizing that platform, ChatGPT, in some areas, but allowing my voice, my realism to be heard in what it is that I want to share with the youth and the character that I'm trying to develop. But yeah, I speak in these little quips, you know, and yeah, you know the reason why the devil hates heaven? Because there's no deviltry there.
Why?
Boom. he was the dude. That's why he hates heaven. There's no deviltry there. Anyway. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, sister. That's a good soundboard right there.
So
yes,
how
sir.
do music and spoken word complement each other for you?
I said this at church the other day. Salt to pepper, hand to glove, peanut butter to jelly, popcorn to butter. They go together. You know, it's just a rhythm. It's just a flow. Um, Music captures audiences. You know, when I'm at the school and I just throw out a beat, kids walk by, some are transfixed, and they're like, and so if you got them with the rhythm, now get them with a word. And if the word is just sharp, quick, penetrating, there's a lyric that I did with my little kindergartners and first graders. It goes, I'm gonna try my best, bum bum bum, each and every day, bum bum bum. I'm gonna try my best, bum bum bum. Hear what I say. I can do it. I can do it. I can try my best. That's it. That's the hook. And you know, as we're going through the day, I'm like, okay, who remembers the song? And they're like, Mr. Marshall, I'm gonna try my. And then when I add that with my drum, you know. So we came out one day. I had there were 3 and 4-year-olds. We came out one day, and I didn't have the drum, but they knew the hook, and we're all in a line, and we're walking up to the gate. The parents are picking the kids up, and they're just bellowing out this song. And the parents are all like, "That's so cute," but what are we going to do today? We're going to try our best. So spoken word coupled with song penetrates the cranium.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I'm talking about.
Yes, sir, man. You come to Mr. Marshall's class, you're going to have fun. You're going to learn. You ain't going to want to leave. You know, I've been blessed to have parents say, you know, I was in one class 2 years ago, and the parent, they said she's pretty tough. And she saw me on the first day, and she was like, so who are you? Da, 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 da. I said, you know what? I'm here for as long as they want to keep me here. And listen, I'm going to give your child, my class, 100% until they say otherwise. And she would come back 3 days later. You know, you're good. You can stay because my son loves you. He's talking about you every day. Now, mind you, 3 days in, but we are all on his workmanship. I'm possessing whatever is necessary and needed to make my job of educating the highest level. What are my expectations? What's the degree that I'm willing to give? What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to surrender? You know, my mantra for my wife and I, you do your work as if unto the Lord. So if I'm doing my work as if unto the Lord, guess what? I'm going to give it 1,000%. And in that, the other scripture is, grow not weary in well-doing. So if I am giving 100,000% as if unto the Lord, and I grow not weary in what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, then I am going to be successful. And those around me are going to yield great benefits because of it. You know? And so that's another lesson that I've learned. So there's the message: grow not weary, and as if unto the Lord, and you can do any and all things through Christ who strengthens us. How does music and spoken word complement each other? Just like that. I'm able to play it, say it, and they can see it, and they know that I mean it. And I think it says what led me to the decision to stop drinking, if I can jump into there, because we're looking at a life that, you know, seems to be going in a good place. But there was a period of time I wasn't in a good place. And because of that, not being in a good place, my consumption had changed from just casual to wanting to be a weekend warrior. And you know, wasn't aggressive, wasn't violent or anything, but it's called a spirit. And so as I drank my spirit changed. And my wife did not like the spirit that it was overtaking me. And she was like, no, I'm not good with that. And I was like, and she was like, no. So you got to make some changes. You know, now we're God-fearing and divorce is not something that, we're looking to do, because, when you wed, it's sickness and in health, rich or poor, ups and downs, and all of that. And mind you, I had already failed in my first marriage. And so I really wasn't going for that. And so it meant stepping away. And I surrendered. I said, Lord, I'm done. And he's like, really? Because you failed on several occasions, and you keep in this little circle. So, there was a young man who approached me and said, listen, mess up and you're out. And I was like, okay. And that was it, brother. Lived my life of sobriety, 3 years. And it's just, I asked the Lord to just take the desire and the yearn away. And he did that, but, it's challenging, because everywhere you look, it's being offered here. It's being offered here. It's not illegal, it's everything's right in front of you. And so when you realize that, it's taking you from your path, it's taking you from what you were created to do. So another one of my quips is, are you becoming the being you were born to be? Again, each one of us uniquely crafted. And so if the devil can say, all right, Ron, you've got these talents, but if I can get you on this path of distraction, then, all of that you were destined to do for him will be put to the side. And then in that distraction, we're going to encounter some muck and some mire and some abysmal and some ugly things, until we say, you know what? I surrender all of that. I want to get back to the right path and to the right direction. And so, didn't want to lose my wife. Sherry is an incredible woman. Let me see if I can get her in there. She may be like, nah. Hey, Sherry, could you come here for a moment? So I remember she said, aren't you willing to fight for me? And at the time, I couldn't say that I was. I was willing to. And then again, the Lord was like, look, buddy. He said, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, and he finds favor with God. And in that, bro, I can't even tell you the favor that God has shown on my life, the goodness that I'm experiencing in my now, my sober living, hiding and drinking, on the sly, and just on the weekends, and waking up not 100%. And with my population, you got to be 100%. And you better not be smelling of alcohol, because you are right here with with kids and parents, and they'll be like, he seems to be under the influence. And God's like, you got to give it up, brother. No, you got to be 100 for your population. You got to be 100 for your wife. You got to be 100 if you're going to be a leader in your church, which I am. And my pastor was gracious enough that when I was on my little roller coaster, that he did not shy me away from that, but rather embraced me and said, let's walk through it together. Let me help you. And we got in lockstep together in prayer and all of that, man. And so I am the better man for it, wanting and hoping to be as transparent as I can be. And hopefully in my transparency, those who are watching or hearing are like, yo, man, he did it, or he's doing it. There's hope for myself. I can do it, that I'm willing to. But I will tell you, the first thing is surrender, man. It takes a lot to throw your hands up, particularly for us we can be full of pride, and we've done some things, and we've done some things, and we've done some things, and to say, I don't know what to do. I'm at wit's end. You know what? I surrender. And then let him have his way, which is the best way. It's God's way. Yeah.
What has been your biggest challenge since quitting alcohol?
There are moments when, you know, my wife and I, we may not be simpatico. That's the term that she likes to use with us. And it's when we're not in lockstep with one another. And you're driving, and you know how it is here in Compton. Every corner has a liquor store. So you're driving. And if you're angry or whatever it might be, you're like, I can make a pit stop. And so I think the biggest challenge is how you are navigating the thoughts in your head at any given moment when things are not going extremely well. You know, you may have hit a roadblock, and then in that, you can't get caught in the wheel, and you're just like, because the quick mode is, you know, I used to like to do my little shots, and you know, the question, man, go grab a shot, bro. What is that going to do? It ain't doing. It won't do any in that moment. I think the challenge is not yielding to the emotional moment and being steadfast in who you are and where you're at, and knowing that it's the best choice. Because emotionally, we can get caught up in a moment. And I think that I've just grown in that emotional side to not let it, you know, catapult me to where I don't want to be. But the challenge is that you always see what's available and not getting caught up in the emotional side of where you're at in the moment and allowing it to distract you and take you off the path. Yeah.
What has been your biggest rewards with, you know, the new discipline you got by staying sober?
I have been working in a substitute capacity for a number of years. And then God continuously would promote me into these long-term assignments. And it started 3 years ago, ironically, as I was moving in my sobriety. And this past 2 months, being disciplined, giving him praise, becoming more articulate, and not procrastinating. I think we all have a tendency to procrastinate. We just put things off. My dad once told me, hey, bro, there's no such thing as tomorrow. I'm like, what? Tomorrow's a figure of speech. 11:59 hits, and then 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock is a brand new day. It's not tomorrow. Tomorrow is something that has been concocted in our heads to give us an opportunity to procrastinate. So I become less procrastinating. And in that, I was told, Marshall, you need to fill out this application. You need to do this, this, and this. I did all of those things, man. And in the last 30 days, I was just rewarded a full-time position for this upcoming fall in the position that I was just doing as a substitute over the last year. And so I've seen that in my new walk, God has sustained me, and now he's fortifying me, and he's giving me the desires of my heart. John 14:14, it says, ask anything in my name, and I will do it. And there was one time I remember I was, you know, in prayer, and the Lord was like, why should I bless you? And I was like, what? And I was like, and I heard the voice again, why should I bless you? And I said, because I'll tell any and everybody who's willing to listen that you did it. And that means a lot to me because there are so many individuals who may not believe, who may not go to church, but they know me and they know where I've been and what I'm doing. They're like, yo, Ken, what's going on? And you, every time you talk, you're always pointing to him. You're always pointing upward. You're always talking about Jesus. You're always talking about your Lord and your Savior. Yeah, because he's real and he's done significant things in my life. And I'm not bashful about that. That's real and it's genuine and it's true. And so that has been the biggest that he's just given me, and he's just fortifying me as we speak, man.
How has sobriety impacted your creativity?
Wow. That the creativity is real and genuine. I'm not saying that that when I was doing the things that I was doing that it wasn't, but it was impaired. You know, I take myself a lot. And there are moments that I go back and I hear myself in some sessions and I'm like, what was that? You know, because in your head you're like, yeah, you know, and you go back and you're like, what was you doing? You know? And so I'm finding that in my sobriety that it's more fruitful, and God is also showing me that I don't need an intoxicant to allow the creativity that he's already placed in me to be profitable. You know, I used to think, well, you know, now I'm feeling, ethereal. No, man, that's there, but it's not nearly how awesome it is. Hey, could you let them see for a second? Oh, sure. It's not nearly as rewarding as when I go and I play something back and I go, wow, you know, he just gave me that. And I used to always think that it took X, Y, and Z to get that, you know. And so I think that's the rewarding part. And then tapping into the creativity. And this woman right here, this is Sherry Deanne. She is one that
How you
helps
doing?
in my creativity. This is Ron. Hi, Ron. This is my lovely wife, Sherry. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Oh, thank you.
She's a woman of few words. You know, she's a sign language interpreter. And so she speaks a lot with her hands. Yeah. And so she's getting herself ready. She starts summer school on tomorrow. I've been in mine for 2 weeks, and so she's readying herself for that. So she's a creative part. You know, we do a lot of skits, little vignettes, and so you know, God is good, man.
Absolutely. We're gonna go to another quick commercial break, and we'll be back with some more questions.
Okay, yes, sir. I'll be right here. Thank you. If this world were mine. I'm not Luther. I don't even try that. So are we breaking or are we still here?
Yeah, we're getting the commercial together.
Okay. And you know what I heard through the grapevine? A bunch of whining. See, sometimes my jokes they're like hit and miss. I think that's a good one. get one of my booklets. Train is coming. Y'all better get on board. We're leaving this. We're leaving the plantation. Y'all better get on board.
Big shout out to all our amazing customers who've already jumped on board the Compton in a Box. Your support means the world. Big shout out to all our amazing customers who've already jumped on board the Compton in a Box. Your support means the world to us. We've revamped our website to make it even easier to join the subscription. For upcoming months, don't miss out on the excitement. Head back to your cart on MICPT.com and subscribe today. Let's make every month a Compton celebration. Compton in a Box. Subscription perks. MICPT.com Compton in a Box. VIP experience appreciation. Head back to your cart on MICPT.com.
Who plays the best music? We do. That's we are live 105.5 Mobile Radio 24/365. One big party.
Yeah.
So, how has your relationship with teaching changed since becoming sober?
It has grown, it's matured. I'm just more engaged, coming in, being slothful, just not 100, a little tired sometimes from the weekends. But now, excuse me, just more alert, more attuned, and fulfilled, if I can say that, seeing that my presence and my attitude, that it matters and it's important, and to be fully present. What I mean by that is you can be present, but not there, especially in a relationship. I used to be present with my wife, but not present. And so now I'm present. And that means that makes all the difference in the world. Yeah. Yes, sir.
What advice would you give someone considering the sober lifestyle?
I'm talking to a young brother who is in his 50s. I am 60. Now, we may look young and we might have all of that, but our bodies have gone through some things. And I can say that the things that I incurred happened when I wasn't sober. And so if I'm going to talk to the youth of today, the stuff that is out there is way more wicked than what we may have endured. It's almost as if they're telling you, we ain't letting you pass. It is poison. There are consequences to what you're doing. You may be like, Marshall, man, I'm not hearing you. I'm fun. It feels good. All of those things. I won't deny that. But it has consequences. And those consequences are severe. Fentanyl, no joke. Came across a lot of youngsters when I was going through my process. Not here. 20, 21, 18. And they don't care. The people who are giving you the product, they don't care. They just want their money. The Bible says that love would wax cold in the end times. We're in the end times, and love is waxing cold. Nobody cares. You are incredible. You are uniquely you. There is no one born like you. So why are you following when you were born to lead? Why are you destroying a temple that is uniquely you? I mean, like, nobody can do what you're doing. And so don't subject yourself to the herd mentality. Don't. Be courageous enough to be you. All it takes is, I was told, the size of a rice grain of fentanyl, and you can be gone. And even as I'm speaking, they're concocting something else. I'm not going to say, I read it just the other day. There's another product out there that's more whack than that they're trying to entrap you. Don't let them snare you. Don't let them snare you, man or sister. Yeah, be courageous enough to say, no. I got to tell you, I didn't get into anything until I was like 40. Is when I was going through my divorce. And I was like, okay, I bought a house. I have no children other than the students that my wife and we work with. We have lots of nephews and nieces. So maybe God was doing something there, but I was like, I ain't got no worries at all. And I thought, oh, let me go. Almost lost my life at 40 and almost lost my life at 55. Kids are losing their lives at 18 and 20. So I'm grateful, beyond grateful, that I'm here to share and to let you know the consequences. Broke my leg, broke both of my wrists at the same time. My leg, my femur, and both of my wrists at the same time, jumping off of a little roof. It's not worth it.
Man, I remember that.
And so my wife calls me Skippy. She calls me Skippy now because I walk with the skip. Got to be able to laugh at yourself after you go and do some obnoxious things. So,
Yeah.
Skip. Yeah. But God is good. He restored me. I'm still able to walk and talk and do all those things. But it comes with a price, consequences for your behavior. You don't have to do that. Learn to love yourself with a genuine love, because you are you and nobody else can be you.
What role has the community played on your journey?
My church community, supportive. My familial, supportive. My band of brothers through my process, supportive. Everybody wants to see you succeed because, nobody likes to wallow in self crap, if I can say that. It gets old, it keeps saying, oh, I'm going to try, man, put up or shut up. 10 toes down. What you going to do? And so, and then for me, seeking his face, I got into prayer Pray every morning, pray in the evenings. But I start my day, my wife and I, we're prayer partners. It's important that we talked earlier, discipline. And become disciplined in the things that you do. If you're going to go to the gym, you go every other day or whatever. You go Monday, you do legs and chest. Tuesday, you do cardio, whatever it is. But there's a discipline, there's a schedule, there's a routine. And so schedule, routine. And for me, getting into the word and sharing and just going before him. First of all, thanking him. And with my music, I make up new songs every day. Just thanking him. And then he shares it and shows it. So I hope that answers.
How do you stay motivated during difficult times?
That part. Being in the word and writing and I journal. I have prayer journals. And you read a prayer journal entry like 2 months ago. And I'll look and see what I was writing. And then I'm 2 months out and I'm like, dude, everything is come to pass. Everything is made manifest, or this is where I was feeling and now everything's better. And so I journal. The music, the conversations I have with my wife, also who you align yourself with. Man, if you're hanging around some busters who all they want to do is talk negative and just talk about just junk. Geico, garbage in, garbage out. GIGO. So what are you feeding yourself? Eat if you're gonna eat crap, when you defecate, it's gonna be crap. But if I'm gonna eat vegetables, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, avocados, fruit, papaya, melon, salmon, then when I defecate, I've got all these nutrients and everything, Now, I'm not trying to get funny or anything, but when you defecate, if your bowel floats, that means you got the right amount of vegetables and things in your body. But if that bowel drops to the toilet, it's crap. So you think to yourself, oh, I'm eating well. Or, oh, that's crappy. Yeah. So who are you hanging out with? Is it positive affirmations versus crappy ones? Because again, the thoughts you think become the activity you do. A gangbanger just doesn't become a gangbanger. He sits around and goes, dude, I want to be a part of that clique. I want to be like that dude. I want to dress like that dude. I will. And he's doing it 24/7. And guess what? He becomes the thing that he's thinking about. That's a simple mantra, bro. So what am I telling myself? I want to be successful. How? Okay. The Bible says, make a plan and make it plain and make it specific. God is a God of specificity. It's a good word. Specificity. Specific. Don't be vague. Like when we were trying to catch that girl, it's like, yo, dude, I like Sonia. How am I going to get at Sonia? I just can't go up there spitting all kinds. Yeah, no, girl, you know what? Yo, let me just say this. I've seen stars illuminate in the sky from afar, and I see that yellow sun that beams in the midday. All I know is that your smile outshines them both. Anyway, I digress.
Hey, what's one of the most common misconceptions that people have about recovery?
That when I've had a fall and I recover, that I won't have another fall. We call them relapse. So people are like, oh, dude, when you went in and you came out, you were good. What happened? And you're not understanding that you didn't surrender. You said and did everything that was necessary and needed to get everybody buffaloed that you were good. And you weren't. And so the misconception is that I'm straight and I'm good. There's no way I can fall again. And yeah, you can, because you didn't talk about your triggers. You didn't really get real about what makes you upset. You didn't really get real about what things scare you. You didn't really get real about all your circumstances and situations. And so they think that once you recovered, you're good. How is that you can fall again? And that also is the pride that says to you, oh, I came out and I am good. Knowing darn well you didn't clean out your closet. You kept some things in there. And there's in those roots, you pull a weed, and if you don't grab it and get all of that root, you just got the top part. And now it's burrowing even deeper. And you got to go in there with two hands. Sometimes you got to go in there with a shovel and a pickaxe and go all around until you get to the root. And so with your recovery, sometimes you got to go in there with a pickaxe. And your first time around, maybe you don't. You go in there with some tweezers. You're like, yeah, I'm getting it. Shame on you. You're going to be right back. You're going to be right back. You got to go in there. You got to whack a mole. So, yeah, I think that's the kind of misconception is that, you got through recovery the first time. There's a lot of repeat offenders. And it's because, the misconception is you go in, you're like, okay, I did my time. I'm good. Come back out. That thing still bugs me. Oh, I'm not having a good day. Oh, there's a liquor store on that corner. Oh, there's that commercial. Oh. And there you go. Back to what feels comfortable. Got to make yourself uncomfortable. Ooh, I like that drop. Got to make yourself uncomfortable.
If you could teach one life lesson to every young person, what would it be?
You are better than what you think you aren't. Because self-doubt, and again, the friends that you associate with, oftentimes your friends can see you better than you can see yourself. Sometimes the friends you have are associated with, you think that you are associating with Tommy because Tommy's cool, but Tommy's not. Tommy's associating with you because you have a light that he doesn't have. And in order to keep you with him, he will say and make you feel like he's the one, and you've got to stay affixed with him. And that's not the case. I once wrote, who's the better friend in the friendship? I.e., if I don't call Tommy, Tommy never calls. I'm always calling Tommy. So I'm actually the better friend to Tommy. Because if I don't choose to call him, he ain't making no calls to me. And so when you begin to see your own self-worth, you find out there are some people who are worth less. And they don't deserve who you are for them because they're using you. Now, for a young kid, it may take a minute for them to be able to pick all of that up. But if you're giving me some opportunity to sit in front of you and move the chess pieces around so you can see I'm getting ready to checkmate you, then you're like, dang, that is true. I used to see like the kids out in the yard. There would always be a little kid, kind of nerdy, maybe a little overweight. He's on the yard and he's got a brand new bag of hot Cheetos. And I'm always on the yard. I always like to see how my kids work with one another in the classroom, out on the yard, who's the big dog, all of that. And they would go over to Joseph, and usually it's the bullyish kid, and he's got his hand around Joseph. What's up, Joseph? And they're all like, can I get some? And they're reaching into his bag, and they're just all of a sudden a big bag of hot Cheetos. He's got like 3 left. Man, I would get over there and I would see these kids doing it. I'm like, Joseph, yo, man, they don't like you. Don't give them anything. And they're looking at me like, who's this dude? I'm like, don't give them anything. No. And then he'd be like, I go, watch. You go over to them tomorrow if he has some. Bet you he won't give you none. And there would be instances in which that would come to play. And I'm looking at him like, so what's up? Why aren't you giving Joseph some? He gave you some yesterday. Oh, no, mister. Really? So you're a buster. And then Joseph's looking. He's like, dang, Mr. Marshall. Yeah. Not everybody's your friend, bro. You got takers, man. And they'll play the game, you know? And so that's tough but when you're in the 3rd and 4th grade. But when you see it, all of a sudden you're mature and you be in the 6th and 7th grade, you're like, nah, I'm good. And so it takes being hard to make things easy for some. Because they're like, but I can see it. And kids are mean. Look, I'm in middle school right now, bro. And kids are mean. You can say the fruit don't fall far from the tree. You can say social media. You can say it's a lot of different things. But brother, they are mean to one another. And so we've got to change our dynamics and try to impregnate and educate and encourage as best we can, because it's all about me. It's like, and they're ready to, that's a whole nother time for us to talk, but I'm just telling you, man, I see it. I'm just like, wow. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, bro. And they are like, get out of my face. You ain't talking to me. What? And so we can't let those children become addicted. They're already addicted to the phone. And now put something else to make the addiction even stronger? Oh, bro. So, yeah. Hey, you don't need to do this. You don't need that in your system. Stay away. And here's the funny part. You can't just say stay away, because when we say that, we know that pushes them closer to it faster. But I think when you tell them to go and check the reels of Kensington, Pennsylvania, and see all these cats who are leaned over and look at them and look and go, dude, they're like 20, 22 years old and they're stuck. That ain't where you want to be. So.
What's the next step for you creatively and personally?
Working on my book. And, my wife and I took care of my granddad. I remember sharing, my granddad lived to be 102. And so I was his male servant for 3 years of last years of his life. And it was a joy, again, being his workmanship. We all have certain abilities. And so I was able to, I don't have any problem with elderly people either, So my wife and I were talking about how we could maybe do elder care. But it's all about just demonstrating God's love, really. And so just trying to see where he wants to direct me into what capacity. Because it's never about me, man. The talents, the gifts, all of that, it's all to his glory. And however I can articulate and share, again, I'm an educator. So I like to educate. I like to encourage. And it gives me joy. Joy is my heart, brother. And So however he wants to use me, wherever he wants to use me, I'm willing to do that, to embrace that, and happy to do it.
I got one final question before we go to the final thought, the Bible verse and the final thought. What's your final words of encouragement you would like to leave with the audience from Bone with Friends?
Nothing is impossible when you believe and trust in God. Now, the audience may be like, but we all know that there's something or someone that is greater than ourselves. And hopefully, as you've heard my share, my testimony, my words, that I am authentic and I'm genuine when I tell you that he is real and he has kept me here for a purpose, for this moment. And he also says that he will give you the desires of your heart. And I've seen him do that, and he's doing it right now. And so it just solidifies. I don't know how to play a drum, yet I can play a drum. I don't know how to play a guitar, yet I can play a guitar. I don't know how to do a lot of things, and yet he's given me the skill set to do those things. Why? Because I am uniquely crafted, as are you. And so believe that and say positive and good things to yourself every morning, every night, every instant. Turn the music off and listen to the thoughts that are in your head and train yourself to formulate them. Write positive words on your wall and see them and say them. And you do it every day, just like you're breathing. That's it.
We're about to go to a commercial break before the Bible verse and the final thought.
Gotcha.
Step into the store, feel the vibe so pure. Young Christian, eternal faith, love's the only cure. Wear your hope on your sleeve, let your spirit glow. Support the youth, let their dreams grow. Young Christian, eternal faith.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. A young man was struggling to decide which path to take in life. He prayed daily for guidance, but couldn't see the answer right away. Instead of giving up, he kept trusting in God and moving forward with faith. Months
Amen.
later, he realized that the closed doors protected him and the open doors led him exactly to where he needed to be. Trusting God didn't make his journey easy, but it made his destination worth it.
Come on.
And
Man.
I'd like to thank you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm like, yo, yeah. That's it. Lean not on your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy path. And I'll coattail that with Matthew 7:7. And it says, I shared this with my granddad before his passing, and he was like, wow. Bible says, ask, and it shall be given. So he said, all you gotta do is ask, and I'll give it to you. Then he says, seek, and ye shall find. So if you're going to seek out something, he will allow you to find it. And he says, knock, and the door will be open. And when you put those three things, you write them chronologically, it spells ask. That's all he wants us to do is ask. But our pride oftentimes will keep us, I got this. He just says, ask. So I love it. Listen, I want to thank you for reaching out and allowing me to participate in your platform. I want to thank you for the questions that you brought before. They were very poignant and personal. And thank you for allowing me to be transparent. I'm just appreciative of what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it. You're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a transcendent, and I'm grateful and blessed to know you and to see you transforming and morphing into this new individual. And I ask that God will continue to bring great people before you, and that he will open up doors, and that you will always lean not onto your understanding, but in all your ways you are acknowledging him and allow him to direct thy path. So thank you, Bone. I appreciate you big time.
And thank you too, Kenny Kendrick, for being genuine. And I mean, I know a lot of people can take a lot of good wisdom away from this podcast. And I seen we had a lot of people coming in and was chiming in. So I appreciate you for, expressing yourself so well and being, transparent, so people can draw from your experience and they can learn from this podcast.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Look forward to it again.
I like
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I'm gonna have to give you a call right after the podcast. I'm gonna have to schedule another show.
Be glad to.
Okay. I like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Bone with Friends. This was me and Kenny Kendrick. Kenny Kendrick, you got any podcasts? Social media handles you want to tell them how they can get in touch with you?
I don't have that presently, so I'm going to have to learn. I don't have any of that. So once we get off the minute, you will tell me how. So the next time I can.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're looking for me, it's just Kendrick Marshall on Facebook.
Nice.
Yeah, Kendrick Marshall.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody again for tuning in, and I like to say peace.